now joining us on the Skype machine from the greater Denver metropolitan area, the UFC's number 4 ranked bantamweight in the world, a man who's fighting in a title eliminator June 6th in Vegas. Cory Sandhagen is with us. I know it's hell week out there, buddy, so we appreciate the time, man. How you doing?
Oh, no, man. This is the easy week. This is the taper week, man. This is the one where I don't have to go in and have a bunch of anxiety about having to die in training practice.
All right, so last week then would have been hell week, so to speak?
Yeah, last week was hell week, and pretty much every week before that is, and then this week is a little bit chill, and then next week is chill.
So did you get a new puppy yesterday?
Yeah, right? No, not yesterday. I got him last week. But yeah, I got a little corgi. We've been talking about it for a long time, and then I guess we just finally reached the amount of boredom that it takes to buy a puppy, and so that happened, yeah.
Yeah, dogs are flying off the shelves and out of the rescue shelter, so that's a good thing. So, all right, so it's been about 2.5 years since you made your UFC debut. It was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and even then we sort of got this vibe that maybe we were sitting across from somebody who could be something special. You're 5-0 in the octagon thus far. I know the Frankie Edgar fight went away, but as you assess the first 2.5 years, even though maybe it hasn't gone as quickly as you would like, how do you assess the overall body of work that you put on paper?
I think it's kind of what I expected. I knew that, I came up in a really good gym, right? Like I trained at Easton's, High Altitude, Grudge. I mean, really good gyms with really good people. And so, I kind of knew comparatively how I was kind of coming up through my years of training and stuff. So I knew that when I got here, it wasn't going to take me too long. I kind of just had a gut feeling about that. And but 2.5 years, I like to crank out fights as much as I can. And that hasn't really been the case for me for the last year or so. But whatever, man, I'm really happy. I'm fighting for a potential next fight after this one being for the belt. So, yeah, I'm not going to complain, I'm happy about where I am.
Right.
Yeah.
And certainly I think most parties are absolutely looking at this as a bantamweight title eliminator, and the winner of this fight will get a title shot. So 6 months after that Edgar fight goes away, you're getting that high profile fight. Looked like maybe a Dominic Cruz fight would happen in May. That did not materialize, even though you signed on the dotted line. So how have you sort of navigated the last 6 months physically, mentally, and emotionally as you try to peak for June 6th?
Yeah, it's just always get better, man. Like ever since it was since my last fight in August, like my only focus every single day is just get better, man. Like learn more, put that learning into actual training, and then take that into the fights. And like that, really, man, as simple as it is, that's like where I keep my mind, or I try to keep my mind every day. I'd be lying if I said I didn't stress out about all of this, all of this stuff, and like it not feeling like some type of rat race to get to the title, but it's just slow and steady every day, man. Like as long as I feel like I'm getting better, that's it for me.
Well, you can definitely see that you're getting better, Cory. It's been amazing to see your progression through your first fight in the UFC to where you are right now. You've traveled a little bit. You actually trained with a buddy of mine, Ryan Hall, for a little bit. What were you able to pick up from Ryan, and kind of what things did you take away for your own fight game?
So more than anything, Ryan, dude. Ryan's one of the best minds that this sport has ever seen. He's like one of the most strategic and capable people of being able to communicate strategy and being able to communicate, I guess, all of the just anything to do with combat, really. So, training with Ryan is really, really made me critically think a lot about stuff. That dude is a really, really critical thinker. He doesn't just take what you say as truth. He thinks about it. He puts things to the test, and he really critically thinks. So I would say more than anything, that's the main thing that I got from training with Ryan, besides like a more than a handful of really awesome techniques that are going to help me incredibly. But yeah, I've been out there twice. I was supposed to go out there in April, but all of this Corona stuff happened, so I wasn't able to make it back there. But, that's something that I'm going to do as frequently as I can, man. That guy's a genius. Like, seriously, I've never met anyone in my life that I felt had more of an understanding of combat and fighting than that guy.
Wow. Couldn't agree with you more. So, Cory, about this coronavirus thing, how has this been a challenge for you? Obviously, we've never dealt with anything like this. Have you been able to get your regular training partners and coaches in to kind of at least make it as normal of a training camp as you've had before?
Yeah, but I don't try to make it normal. It's not going to be normal. So that normal hasn't really been the goal for me. It's like, all right, well, how can I take what I got right now and just keep getting better every single day? So, and not get sick, because if I get sick, then I can't fight. So, it's a lot of, I'm being real careful who I'm being around. I'm only using 3 training partners, and then I'm using my 3 coaches. So my circle is really small right now. But that being said, I've obviously chosen people that are going to give me good pushes and, be good drilling partners, be good training partners. So, I mean, honestly, I think it's been a little bit better. The spotlight's been on me every single practice, and I've been able to, this has been like my most, I don't really know the verb for it or word for it, but my most learningest training camp that I've ever had, like just because everything is about me, which is good.
And Cory, last question. How do you deal with someone like Aljo? How do you break that fight down?
Yeah, well, I think anytime you have 2 guys that bring in a lot of the same advantages, it's an interesting match. So I think Aljo's usually a little bit taller than people. He likes to kind of strike from the outside. He likes to move his feet. He likes to mix in like fun techniques, very similarly to how I do. So we have the same advantages, so it's just about who's better at doing those advantages, right? Or finding a disadvantage in the other person, where I think with what I bring in, I think that my advantages are, even though they're the same, I think that I do them better. So I think that after that gets realized, he's going to start looking to find me in positions where I'm at a disadvantage, and I've been practicing a lot on where those areas might be, and then so if I do get there, then I'm not at a disadvantage anymore.
So your corner will be intact, though, on June 6th, the same guys that cornered you last time? Are you missing a body or something like that? Or
No, so I'm using Christian, Allen, Elliot, Marshall, and then instead of Dave Zabrinski, the wrestling coach, now I'm using Carrington Banks as my wrestling coach. Carrington, he's a very, very good fighter and a very, very good teacher at wrestling. And he's been one of my training partners throughout this whole time. So it's been really helpful to use him as a training partner, but also have him as a coach too, because that guy his wrestling knowledge is out of this world.
So you're only 28 years old, just turned, but I know there's a wisdom and a depth to you of a guy that might be impatient at times in terms of trying to chase this belt. And you've had to sort of bite your tongue while Jose Aldo or Frankie Edgar has injected their name into this division, or Dominic Cruz comes back for the first time in 3 or 4 years, and you haven't spoken out of line or said anything that maybe would put you in a bad spot. But I'd imagine at least now, right? The belt just got contested. Henry Cejudo stepped aside. You're fighting the number 2 guy. This is the clarity that you've been looking for a year, if not more, correct?
Yeah, I mean, everything lined up, man. Like, if I would have tried to rush it before, so say I try to rush this thing back when the Frankie fight pulls out, and I take just a different fight just for the sake of staying in the conversation and taking a fight, I break my hand and I can't fight this time,
Right,
right. It's everything in my life, as long as I know that I'm doing things as honestly and as proficiently as I can in the morning. And for me as a martial artist, that's just getting better, learning more, taking care of my body. I put all of my eggs in that basket, where it's like, if I do all of these things correctly, I don't have to go overboard trying to get all of these goals and accomplishments that I intend to create for myself in my career. It's as long as I'm doing these things, everything will work out. And that's been the case. So I'm not going to change anything. There also is, I understand, a time where you have to be loud and you have to put yourself and assert yourself into the conversation, which is what I felt like I had to do maybe a couple months ago when all of this talk was happening, because closed mouths don't get fed. And I also understand that too. But I mean, I put a lot of eggs in the basket of just take care of the day, and then the rest will come.
Got a couple more minutes here with Cory Sandhagen. Quick thought on team elevation, right? Cory Sandhagen, Curtis Blades, Drew Dober, Justin Gaethje, Alistair Overeem, 5-0 in the UFC thus far in 2020. Certainly the front runner for Team of the Year. I know there are different bodies and different banners and gyms, but under this team elevation banner, you guys are doing something special, man. There's no doubt.
Yeah, we're crushing it. I think everything's just kind of coming into formation a little bit. We've been good for a really long time. If there is 2 things that I think I would attribute it to, I would attribute one of it is just time. Like a lot of us were kind of figuring stuff out, right? Like I had only been in the UFC for about 3 years now. Curtis hasn't been in the UFC for a crazy amount of time. Right. Gaethje was with World Series for a while, and Gaethje has really kind of come into his own as far as like finding that balance between trading hits and scoring himself. So I would attribute a lot of it to time. And then I think number two, I would attribute it to that we are all on the same page that if we all don't get better and we don't make each other better, then no one's getting better and no one's being successful. So the camaraderie is definitely there. We're all buds. We don't clash heads. There's no overly competitiveness in training. It's more of like it's a very helpful atmosphere, and we're all on the same board that the more knowledge you have, everyone's tough. So you gotta right. be smart, you know.
And I've just seen all these guys grind, at least in my time with UFC, for a decade. Christian Allen and Elliot Marshall and Cody and everybody else. So wish you guys all the best. All right, a few rapid fires here with Cory Sandhagen on the way out. So you've only lost one fight in your career. You've never been finished. Who's the toughest guy, though, that you've ever faced?
John Lineker was the toughest fight. Yeah, that was the worst headache I've ever had in my entire life afterwards.
Man.
He wasn't hitting me clean on the front of my face, but he was hitting me clean on the outside of my ears. And like that hurt. And I was in Florida. I planned on spending a couple days after in Florida, and I did, but I couldn't do anything, man. I was excited to go to the beach and hang out, but like even being in the sun kind of sucked. So John's been the toughest fight for sure.
Certainly a worthy answer to that question. We'll see if Aljamain Sterling can change that answer. All right, buy or sell that Henry Cejudo returns to MMA competition in 2021 or sooner?
I think it's going to depend how successful that dude gets outside of this. Yeah. I think if he can find some gig where he's doing well, I think Henry likes attention. I think if he can find some type of being in the spotlight type of thing that's making him good money, I think that he'll stick with that. And if that's not working out for him, then he'll definitely be back.
Do you still train in the gi regularly?
No, never. It's a different sport, or it feels like a much different sport than MMA jiu-jitsu. So to be honest with you, I don't even really do a lot of jiu-jitsu without gloves and punches. Yeah. So when I do roll, I'm usually always wearing gloves, and I'm usually always either punching or having the other person punch me. That way I don't get too lackadaisical with all of that.
Right. All right.
Do you like that, Kenny? Is that okay? Is that good advice?
Yeah, I was the same way, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because you get used to grabbing the gi, and it's a different game. People are trying to hit you. You know, you want to get used to that. So yeah,
it's different too. With the if they can stand up, it changes jiu-jitsu completely. If their goal is to stand up, it changes everything completely.
So in terms of going from brown to black belt, is that goal put on hold, or are there other ways to get that black belt, or do you already have a black belt and your UFC bio is not up to date?
I'm going for gold belts, man. I don't care about black belts, dude. I'm trying to get some gold belts. The black belt isn't going anywhere. The gold ones are going somewhere. Those are the ones I'm shooting for.
That's a fucking brilliant answer. All right, fact or fiction? Keith Peterson, the no-nonsense Keith Peterson, was in the right to stop the Cejudo Cruz fight when he did.
Yeah, good question. Not the worst, not the best that I've seen. If it was me, let it keep going.
Right.
But I see the argument. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah. All right. Last thing. If you could have any food or beverage in the world waiting in your Vegas hotel room after you knock Aljamain Sterling out cold on June 6th, what would it be?
I'm going to tell him you said that, John.
I think he's a listener. So.
Any food or beverage, we're definitely going to have some beers afterwards, and we'll probably have some I don't know. It depends how scummy we want to get, man. We might order some McDonald's. I don't know, man. We might be digging in that low trench, you know?
Well, hey, man, you certainly will have earned it. I think anybody who's been sort of watching you from afar, we've admired the way you've handled yourself, and we've been waiting for you to get this big fight, and now it's upon us, and we wish you all the best with it. On Instagram, you can find Cory at Enter the Sandman 135. Cory Sandhagen. You can watch him on pay-per-view June 6th against Aljamain Sterling. Appreciate a few minutes, my man. Look forward to giving you a little elbow bump when I see you in Vegas. Thanks so much, Cory.
Yeah, cool. I'll see you in a couple weeks. And Kenny, it was nice meeting you. I've been a big fan for a long time, man.
Thanks so much, dude. Good luck.
Yep. See you guys.
All right, there he is, UFC bantamweight contender Cory Sandhagen. A lot of Ken Flo fans out there. Got to make you feel a little bit better turning 44 tomorrow. When I tell my twin brother the Kenflow's 44, you know, but it's got to make you feel good. All these young guys fucking shouting you out, you know.
That's cool that they were watching me when they were about 3 or 5. That's great. That's great. I'm so old, dude. There's certain people, but it's great. Like people like, yeah, I don't think I was watching when you were fighting, or yeah, I think I remember I was in, elementary school. You're like, okay, right.
Well, like, I mean, I was bar mitzvahed before Cory Sandhagen was born. He was born in 1992. I mean,
crazy.
They look at us as just like fucking
fossils,
grumpy old men, fucking fossil. Speaking of which, we got to get out of here. Thanks to our guests this week, Cory Sandhagen, Calvin Cater, the usual suspects, Longo, Ian Parker, our producers, TJ DeSantis and Cody Merrow. Next week, back in the usual slot, we'll recap UFC Fight Night Woodley versus Burns, and then we got a pay-per-view week show for you, full preview with predictions for UFC 250, Nunes versus Spencer. If you want one of those sweatshirts that Ken Flo's wearing, all you got to do is go to AnikFlorianPodcast.com, and you can use the special code ANIK15 for 15% off all this week. With that, for Ken Flo, I'm John Anik. Thank you all for watching, listening, subscribing. Have a great week. Enjoy the fights on Saturday. Don't text and drive. We'll talk to you next Monday. Yo later.